The Simone Feiler podcast, giving authors a platform. Welcome to the podcast.
Sharon Muggivan is passionate about helping people. She works in the disability sector. She loves the people she works with and has written and now narrated the audiobook, Disability is Not About You. Welcome to the podcast, Sharon.
Thank you, Simone. It's lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you here. So you've also come all the way up from New South Wales.
Yes.
To celebrate your birthday this week.
That's right.
Woo! Hitting the Gold Coast, I believe.
Absolutely.
Look out. Lock up the boys. I just haven't learned. So how was your experience, or how's it been so far recording your audiobook with me?
Oh, brilliant. Very easy, very professional. I really enjoyed it. I've never done it before.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you would have done differently about recording, or any tips that you can give me that might have made the experience better?
Probably listened to your instructions. I didn't read it as much as I should have.
I know, it really does help though, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But I guess by the time you get to doing your audiobook, you would have been through your book quite a few times. I know the editing. You know,
many times. Yeah.
You know it like the back of your hand.
Yeah. But it's very different when you're in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
But it was a really good experience.
Excellent. So are you planning on doing any more stuff in front of a microphone with regards to the book?
Yeah, I think I'd like to turn it into a training program with podcasts and maybe even a talkback radio type of thing.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, podcasts are all the rage nowadays, aren't they?
I just think it's got the sort of information that needs a conversation, not just to be read. You know, it needs the experience and the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. What inspired you to write the book about the disability sector?
I've had the concept for probably 12, 15 years, but it was working in the industry, realising how much time I was taking with staff in teaching them how to support someone with a disability with their needs, not the personal needs of the staff member, but the needs of the client. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The title is great, Disability is Not About You.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that one?
I think the whole concept is it's not about you, but in disability it's really important that people understand the disability is not about you, it's about the person. And also the disability isn't the person, it's a person with a disability. So move it aside, focus on the person and not your needs.
Beautiful. Why do you believe it's important for people to understand that the disability is not about them?
I think because I see a lot of people supporting people with disability in a way that serves them. For example, going to the pokies and sitting at a poker machine whether the client wants to or not, more because they want to. Right. Going out shopping and standing there talking to a friend while their client is standing there doing nothing. So it's really bringing back the focus to you're there for the person, not yourself. Yeah.
How can individuals ensure that they're being respectful and inclusive when they're interacting with somebody that has a disability?
I think the most obvious frustrating thing I've ever had over and over again in the industry is people ask me, what does my client want? Ask them. Yeah. Ask the client. Yeah. Don't ask me. Ask the participant, the client, whatever word you want to use, but talk to them. Ask them. They know. They're the best person who knows what they want.
Why do you think they don't want to, why are they struggling to ask the client that question?
I think everybody struggles with disability. Even the police force find it difficult to deal with situations that involve someone with a disability. So I think it's that some people, they tiptoe around a person with disability, they don't understand it, therefore they sort of treat them as at a distance, not really there, and they go through the worker rather than the person.
That would have a great bearing on the person with a disability.
Absolutely.
Do you have conversations with your clients that you work with about this topic?
Some of them aren't really aware, although they love it when I say, I don't know, and turn to them and say, what do you want? Or what do you feel like? It's often even with food. We provide food in our homes, our supported independent living homes, and we provide dinner. And I'll often get asked, what does each person like or want to eat? And I think, ask them.
How hard is it?
Yeah. Do you want broccoli? Do you want cauliflower? It's not hard. It's just ask them.
How did you get into the field of working with people with disabilities?
I fell into it.
All right.
Yeah. I actually was studying marketing at uni, and I have a sister with an acquired brain injury, and I was 14 when she had the accident. It wasn't until I was about 32 I was a marketing manager for a disability agency that found employment for people with disability, and I had to go and do training for acquired brain injury. And I was just gobsmacked, fascinated. But working as the marketing manager, I hated it. I wanted to get involved with the clients. I really enjoyed the whole industry, and I learned so much about it and about my sister.
Yeah. So did you have to do any training or anything?
In disabilities?
Yeah.
Well, I did a lot of counselling and business management and all that sort of thing. So often I was in management roles. But as far as in disability, if I was to go in now, or if anyone else was going to go into the industry, you have to have at least a Cert 3 in disability.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the NDIS and your role in cohorts with those guys.
The NDIS is the insurance scheme for people with a disability.
Yeah.
I find the worst thing about it is that we attract a lot of carers and caregiving people. They're lovely, kind, caring people into the industry. However, that's probably the worst thing for people with disability, to be independent and have choice and control. They want to do for them.
Right.
So it's also a problem when it comes to funding, the government funding. We have plan managers and support coordinators who can't say no. So if you can't say no, you're really not managing to the guidelines of the NDIS. So I think that's two key areas that are a huge problem with the NDIS.
And have you got the wherewithal to have a conversation with people that are running the NDIS about that?
I've actually just started to make connections to because it's just come to light more recently with tracking a lot of Facebook NDIS pages and realising there's a common thread of problems. And I'm just going to put together a nutshell and have a chat to Bill Shorten and whoever else will listen.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the strengths of the setup?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, if they get it right and they fund people right, it'll be the best thing that ever happened. One of the problems is, we have 3 different girls with similar support needs, but their funding is ridiculous. One has double the other one, yet their needs and their support needs are exactly the same.
Right. So how do they gauge what their support value is worth?
It's a planner through the NDIS,
Right.
and you have to have all the different reports and evidence. Some people are better at fluffing the reports and some people are not. Yeah.
So do you work for the NDIS? Or?
No, we're a registered provider.
Yeah.
But we don't actually work for the NDIS.
And do you run the program that you do?
We have a not-for-profit.
Yep.
So my son is the CEO and I'm a chair. I was the CEO up until probably 18 months ago, 2 years ago.
Okay.
And decided to let someone else take over.
Is it a big job?
It's not too bad. It's big enough, but it incorporates a lot of fun and activities, not just paperwork. We had a little trip to Bali 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the guys love to go and see Home and Away in Sydney, and we trip off to Melbourne to watch the rugby or the football.
Oh,
so we do a lot of fun things as well.
Yeah. So do you talk to them about what kind of things they want to do when you first meet them?
They give me bucket lists and then we work on them as we go. And, sometimes, because we're not for profit, sometimes it doesn't cost them and we're able to do a lot of things that most people don't do.
So do you get any funding as such? Or
Yeah. They're funded for support. So whatever support they need, they're funded. And because they're in our SIL homes, we don't always charge them for a holiday as such.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you look after individuals or in groups, or is there a preference?
I have done everything, one-to-one, groups. We actually run an activity centre. So there's a swimming pool, a gym, a games shared, movie room, gaming room, and we run that where we can have 15, 20 people anytime.
And do they like getting together?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah?
They love their peers. There's always been this rubbish about people and not working in sheltered workshops, and that's what they used to call these training centres. So they were initially set up for people with intellectual disability. And I think that's why there's a lot of negative press around working in a sheltered workshop or a Australian disability enterprise. But they were never set up for everybody. They were set up for the intellectual disability. And I think they're the ones that are not being heard, because they love it and they love the friendships that they build and the social life and being able to chat to their family about their friends.
How do people, firstly, that have a disability reach out to someone like you, or, you know, if they want to improve their lifestyle, for instance?
We haven't actually focused on a lot of marketing or anything like that, because it's usually word of mouth. And most people talk about our organisation fairly highly because we do a lot for them and we do advocate a lot. So that's what we want to move more into, advocacy and helping people navigate the NDIS.
Yeah, well, I think I've spoken to a few people that say it's very confusing.
Yeah. My son is extremely good at it. He knows it inside out. So he followed me into the industry when I left Wear Industries in Wodonga. He took over my position there.
Right.
And then he followed me into the not-for-profit industry.
So obviously a very caring nature.
He's wonderful, great communicator. Yeah. He's perfect for the job.
Does he work with the people with the disabilities as well?
Yeah. He's actually just become a personal trainer, so he'll be working at the gym with the guys.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I like the idea of putting health and fitness and fun into their lives as well.
Yeah. In regards to disability is not about you, I know your book goes into a lot of detail about how you can, you know, understand that it's kind of a separate entity altogether, the disability. There's two people here communicating. The disability is set aside. How can people understand that they need to be able to treat the person with a disability like a person and not a person with a disability?
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, it's always been a funny thing. I don't know whether it's just human nature and people are gossips, but they want to know the ins and outs of the person. I think you don't need to. Get to know them, you know, get to know their personality. The disability is just something that's an extra on the side. You don't need to know what it is to work out what's going on here. The only information you need is when someone has behaviours of concern, and then there's usually triggers that you need to be aware of. But it's not so much about what is the disability. It's like, who is this person? They have, you know, they have good days, bad days. They get angry, they get sad. They're all the same as us. So get to know the person.
Do they take it offensively if they've got a disability being asked about that disability?
Some do, and then there's others. Depends on the disability. I have one girl that gets really angry if people won't learn about autism because she's on the autism spectrum. And I said, no amount of training is going to help that person because every single person's different. They have to know what your needs are. So they have to ask you for that information. Yeah.
It's a bit of a minefield out there, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
Where do you think the biggest problems come from, like with people with disabilities, from their peers or from just being out in public? Or
I think most of the difficulty is service providers. They still don't tailor their services to the needs of the client. They still lump them into group things. They grab everybody together to do the one thing and there's no options. I think there should be more, I mean, they say person-centred care, but I think show me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying it, but you're not showing?
No, and often the families come into play because the parents might say no, and yet that child has a right to choose, you know. So it's weighing up that the fear of the provider going against the mother when actually they're paid by the client. It's all that juggling, and it's all human behaviour and human nature. You know, we get fearful of conflict, or we don't want to lose the money if that client walks because we haven't done what they told us to do. So there's all that sort of thing that comes into play.
How do you secure the clients? Do they come through a doctor or?
No, they. Most of my clients followed me, found me, followed me. I actually started out this business because I was dropping a girl off that I was working with one-to-one to a respite centre, and she hated it. She would say to me, I hate going there, because they'd be lumped into a house. If they had a person with a wheelchair and they didn't have a wheelchair car, no one could go out. And if they had a person who had behaviours, they all had to be locked in their rooms for their safety.
Wow.
So they had a horrible weekend. So I thought, okay.
And that's supposed to be the respite area.
Yeah. So I said, I'll start doing respite. And that's how I started. I got 2 girls respite on a weekend. We'd go out to pubs. We'd have lunch, go to festivals, watch music.
Yeah.
We'd do everything. And it was all included, paid for. And they just had a ball.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That must be a great life for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's much better than sitting in the office.
Yeah, you're going to Bali and all sorts.
Yeah.
So this week that you're here, though, you're taking the week off for your birthday, so you're not looking after anyone this weekend.
No, I'm
Is
here with
anyone looking after you?
Yes, my girlfriend.
That's good. So what role do you think empathy and understanding play in fostering positive relationships with individuals that have a disability?
I think empathy is the key, because to be empathic, you have to actually feel or put yourself in that person's shoes. And I think that's really important. It's not about me means, and the basic assumption is that we're all the same. Okay, I like it that way. That means you do?
Yeah.
No. We're all actually individuals, and we all have our own beliefs, values, and life experience. The clients just need someone who actually wants to know who they are, what their needs are, what they like, what they don't like, what upsets them, how to reassure them. They want to know that you care. Simple as that. And empathy is really important.
It's basically just comes down to the person is just a normal person.
Yes, that's right.
And treat them as such.
Yeah. Same with relationships. They all want girlfriends, boyfriends. Then you have some parents say no way, others say not allowed near them. And I think they just want that cute little flirt that we all have and we've all experienced in our lives. And they're adorable to watch. When we bring them together and do bowling and things, and there's always one boy that is more popular than everyone else.
Right.
And they all flirt and, play with each other. It's just adorable.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So what age group are your clients?
At the moment, we have our youngest is 21 and our oldest is 50. Yeah.
So they're all quite young, really, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you get out of it personally?
I love it. I don't feel like it's work. So I can work 7 days a week, 24/7, which I have done to get the business up and running initially. And it's not work to me. Yeah. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy every single client.
I think that's really important. I think a lot of people are coming to terms with that nowadays, that you spend so much time at work, you should be doing something that you love, right?
Absolutely.
So when you started out with your marketing course, were you loving that industry at the time, or it was something that you thought, yeah, I really want to do this?
I actually fell into it because I worked for a radio station in sales for a year.
Right.
And
that's where I come from, my background. I was in programming though.
Right. Well, I was in sales and I hated that. I was terrible at sales. But when I went to work for this organisation, obviously I was taken on because I was studying marketing and I had the experience with radio advertising. But I actually fell in love with disability. I had never even thought about going into the disability sector. Fell in love with it and never changed.
Never looked back. Started your own business and now helping lots and lots of people.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful
That's
thing.
the main thing. I love helping people and I love watching my clients improve and progress, and I love working with the difficult ones.
Yeah.
I've got one girl that came to live with us that no one would have because very volatile.
Right.
She puts holes in walls.
Oh.
She bashed our car one day. She's stabbed a staff member.
Oh.
Very, very difficult. But I took her away. I managed her for a month on my own, mostly myself, but with other staff filling in for night shifts when they didn't have to interact with her. And now she's an angel.
Oh, how good's that?
It's tough, consistent prompting on behaviour. She was at the point where we couldn't take her anywhere. She would yell and scream if they didn't have the right vegetables, and she has to have broccoli, cauliflower, carrot and zucchini on that plate or she goes off tap.
Right.
Now we can take her out and say, doesn't matter what you have because you're having those veggies for dinner, and she's fine. So it's the changing the behaviour. But I will go away for a week and come back and go, okay, who's been allowing that person to do this or allowing that person to do that? Because I can tell they've changed because someone wouldn't say no or someone didn't keep prompting that person in the same direction with consistency. Yeah.
So where do you draw from to get that toughness about you that you can sort of get them to do what you want?
Well, being a single mum, raising 2 boys on my own, juggling studying and working full-time. I think you end up pretty tough.
Yeah, that's good work.
Yeah, and determined. It's the happiness of the clients and their personal growth is my passion.
And how long would someone be with you or stay with you?
Probably forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ongoing.
We've got a couple of clients, their parents keep saying, don't you ever die? And I said, well, don't worry about me, I've got my son. Yeah.
And so obviously it's good for the whole family then, for your clients, their parents or siblings are all very happy with the...
Yeah, we make sure that their relationships are all kept ongoing and familiar, and we send photos all the time if we're out and about doing things. Yeah.
So Disability is Not About You, the audiobook. You did a fantastic job with your narration. Well done.
Thank you.
What do you think, well, for people listening today, what's the major draw that they walk away from after listening to it?
I think not just about disability, I think they will actually understand a lot about human nature and what makes us tick. I've found also just the idea of being able to let things go and not take it personally and work on understanding the other person, put yourself in their shoes. It's just huge. It's helped me so much.
Yeah.
Once I worked it out, it takes the pressure out of living. You know, you watch someone do something stupid and it doesn't impact you because you think, oh, they're having a bad day or there's something going on over there. It's not about me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's also a thing that's growing and getting stronger, is about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, understanding it from their perspective.
Yeah.
And also thinking how you would feel if you were in their shoes.
Yes.
That's really important.
Absolutely. And I always come back to, I know it seems horrific to think about, but you and I could murder someone just the same as a murderer could if we had the same beliefs, values and life experiences. So they're the key differences that make someone different and make someone capable of doing different things.
Yeah, very
so
true.
Understanding beliefs and values and life experience helps you understand where that person's coming from.
Yeah. So what are some of the disabilities that are really hard? I mean, like that girl you said she has autism.
She's pretty easy. She'll tell you what she thinks. She's got no filter. So she's great. She'll tell you exactly what she thinks. She can be quite angry very quickly, but she'll get over it really quickly too. I have another one, her diagnosis is like multiple, but I think the problem with a lot of them with an intellectual disability is their capacity to understand and comprehend what you're trying to explain to them or tell them.
And then what about physical disabilities? Do you work with people with physical disabilities?
We've got a few with minor physical, but we don't have any in wheelchairs at this stage. We really don't have many that we work with. I think we might have one. Yeah.
Right. And is your team big or?
I think we've got about 14 staff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too big.
Yeah.
It's enough to keep it like a family, like everyone knows each other and supports each other.
Yeah, because it could get out of control if there's too many people.
Absolutely. And you look at the bigger organisations, they don't know what's going on in the coalface. They only know what's going on in their own office.
Yeah.
And they're relying on other people to tell them what's going on, and it doesn't always happen.
No. I actually have been recording with another chap this morning, David Cook. His book's called Kind Business. And he talks about the same thing. It's about being kind and about understanding how other people are feeling and trying to put yourself in their shoes. The way he penned it was amazing. It was like, you could really visualise yourself being in their shoes and thinking from their perspective rather than your own. It's a new skill that's coming to the forefront.
I know, but there's also, it's interesting to watch people in a workplace. If they're not happy, they have to take responsibility, because often it's not the workplace, it's them. You know, it's their beliefs, values or whatever that's interfering with their ability to do their job.
And they probably don't like doing that job and they should go and do another job.
Exactly. And definitely in the disability sector, they should definitely get out. If you don't love your clients, go away.
Yeah. What sort of people would you recommend that come and have a look at that industry to work in?
I think people, I have found, my best friend was in hospitality. She was fantastic. Took me a long time to get through to her that you can't do for them. You have to let them do it and you help them.
Right.
We are not creating a situation where they're going backwards and they're needy. We want them self-sufficient and independent.
Yeah.
It's called supported independent living. And I had a client.
So people pleasers do not apply.
No, because it won't work. You have to give direction and support and prompting to a person with disability, especially intellectual.
And obviously, I mean, with what you've done in your past, being a single mum, running a business and everything, that gave you the strength to be able to say, right, you've got to do this. You do it now.
A lot of management experience. But also I studied behaviour my whole life too.
Yeah, right. And you're also you were mentioning that you're going back to uni to study some more?
Yeah, I've got a master's degree in psychoanalytic studies, but I'm now doing a graduate diploma in process-oriented psychology. I just love behaviour and learning about it and helping people release emotions and release trauma for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a big field, disability field, and also aged care and all of that. There's obviously going to be ongoing work in it, and even during COVID with all in the aged care in particular with people that was tragic. What would you recommend people do, or what kind of skills should they learn, or what kind of values should they have to be able to, enjoy working in the NDIS or in support?
I think you really have to have responsibility for yourself and accountability. It's so easy to manipulate vulnerable people. I've seen it in aged care. My mum used to work in aged care and she said, I am never going into a home.
Right.
So she saw enough of the way other workers behaved to say, I'm never going into a nursing home. I always talk to my clients and find out how they're going, always check on the shifts, how they were going, did anything happen? And I can always tell by their face. And then I find out something's happened and we have to work on the staff member. Staff members will have bad days, but they have to be able to leave their stuff at the door and focus on what they're being paid to do, which is look after that vulnerable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously enjoy it a lot.
Love it.
Yeah, you do. That's so good. People need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to help now. I want to help other people navigate the NDIS and I want to help people learn how to get the most out of working with people with disability and to enjoy those wins when they're growing and progressing.
Fantastic. How can people get in touch with you?
I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
Sharon Muggivan on Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as the website, respondability.com.au.
All right. You're still in the process of getting that up?
It should be up and running the next month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And your audiobook will be available on there?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And you've also written another couple of books.
Yeah, it's Disability is Not About You.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
That's the latest.
That's the latest.
Yeah.
The first one was It's Not About You, So Get Over It.
Yeah, I like that title.
Yeah, and it really is true. I mean, most of the time we sit on a pity pot and we don't get on with life. So it's not about you, so get over it. Let it go. People do nasty things every day, but they don't do it for you, to you.
Don't take it
or
personally.
about you. It's actually about them and their need to let off steam or their trauma that they're carrying through from their childhood. It's about them. It's not about you. And then the next one is it's not about you in the workplace. It's business. It's not personal. You know, if you make a business decision and people get all upset, it's like, it's not personal. It's a business decision.
Yeah, that's a message that you're obviously pushing through with all three books is that you need to get over yourself.
Yeah, you do. And you need to understand yourself. Have that conversation.
With yourself.
Yeah. You know, say, oops, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm probably guilty of that. I'm trying to learn. I'm learning.
I know. We're always learning. We'll be dead when we stop learning.
That's right. But more of this topic seems to be coming into the studio to sort of say, oi, wake up.
Oh, you're taking on the message.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's about time because I did have a tendency to take everything personally, but I'm realising that there's nothing that you can do about anything really. It's just got to roll with it, don't you?
Everything has worked out so beautifully in this last few days. And I said to my girlfriend, I said, let's just go with the flow. Like today we're trying to find a seafood restaurant. And I said, righty, I'm going with my gut feeling. So I took a different road and found a nice club to go and have lunch. We were searching for half an hour to find a restaurant, trying to follow directions and getting nowhere. I said, you've got to go with your gut feeling and go with the flow.
Yeah, that's so true.
And if a door slams, another door opens.
That's right. Yeah. It's all part of the life, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Well, I have really enjoyed chatting with you on my podcast today. Really enjoyed working with you doing your audiobook, and I'm quite sure that you're going to impress a lot of people or with your important message in there, and hopefully recruit the right kind of people to come in and work with you or in that sector.
That would be great.
And what's next for you?
I think I'm going to pull together little training sessions and look at the podcasts and get the website up and running and interact with more people.
Maybe that's why you did radio for a bit, so you could actually come back and, do the full circle and get on the radio.
How funny is that?
Yeah.
It's like my first job was in radio and it's like full circle.
Isn't it? I've been thinking about that recently, is that when you go through all your life and you do your jobs and whatever, it all adds up to what you actually want to end up doing.
Yeah, I say that to my son all the time. And I knew, it's really funny, I knew he would follow in my footsteps because he's so much like me. And I never said it until he was in another industry and in another job, and I said this other job was coming up. Maybe it's perfect for you. And it was just perfect timing. And he jumped in and he's not looked back. He's just loved it. Yeah.
Things happen for you, don't they?
They do, yeah. And you got to jump at the opportunity. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people get frightened and they prefer the same and what's familiar. Often that road less travelled is the road to go to.
Yeah, well, don't they say magic happens when you put yourself out of your comfort zone?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. It's great to have you in Brisbane, given that you just popped up for the weekend to record our podcast. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And it's so lovely to meet you face to face, Simone.
Oh, ditto.
And thank you for everything.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for joining the Simone Feiler podcast.
What's your story?
Contact Simone for a chat at brisbaneaudiobookproduction.com.